All right, Mena fans, welcome back to Mena's Minutes. It's late Friday night. I'm actually doing this live on YouTube, but as you know, Mena's Minutes is primarily a classical audio-only podcast. Thank you, Veronica, who just said I had a very cute voice, I think she said. So that's certainly given me a confidence boost before I record. But decided not to do Mena's live tonight because planning to do a big show with Kirk on Monday night where we give our recommendations for the producers. And I think a lot of the calls and discussion would have been around which producers we are recommending. And yeah, so just wanted to maybe not do a Menace Live where we take calls and can't answer all the questions because of saving it for Monday night. But, I think the plan will be next week, do a show with Kirk before the announcement and probably do a show after the announcement where I get really upset that Kirk's brought back Dave Cullinane. So there'll probably be a couple of Menace Lives next week. Also got a special guest booked for a Menace Live, a new Minna fan who's recently entered the community, so looking to bring her on and talk about her fandom. So looking, lots to come, but now here to react to probably the shows on, when was that, Wednesday and Thursday. We had Freddy's Birdies and Mutt, and then we had Joe Matter, the producer. So firstly, I have to say I commend Kirk for going in on Wednesday because burns are the worst. If you do a kitchen burn, it is the worst pain and it doesn't go away for hours and hours and hours of throbbing. So I'm glad Kirk was able to battle through it and we got a show. Obviously, there was some digs at me on Wednesday's show because of my Menace Minutes where I gave Biodude the victory. It's hard to see without the video, but I still think Biodude rattled Kirk and Biodude came across less rattled. So, when Kirk's final argument is, I'm looking forward to the Biodude show, I think Biodude's won. I know Kirk was upset by me saying Big Cat was Kirk's boss. Yeah, so, I mean, it's just a fact. I think, Big Cat is higher up the totem pole at Barstool. And if Big Cat really did get sick of Kirk, he could just say to him, leave me alone. But anyway, look, enough of that stuff. We've got the show Monday night where we'll be recommending the producers to Kirk. And, people think that my mind's made up on John Dales, but I'm still wrestling with it. There's a lot of good candidates. Sorry, that's an exaggeration. There's a few good candidates. There's a lot of very bad candidates. I mean, there's a lot of absolutely awful candidates. There's like 3 or 4 just absolute freak shows you wouldn't want to even let in the studio, let alone produce your show. But there are a few strong candidates. I'm sort of tossing up a few things at the moment. John Dales, Handsome Johnny, PRC. They're probably the 3 strongest. And then you've got sort of the next rung after that. But there's some I like that Kirk doesn't like. I wanted Pizza Joe to have a go. I thought Big Twan showed enough to go in studio. But if Kirk's not up for it, then Kirk's not up for it. He's got to like and want the people with him. So, yeah, I think this weekend I'm just going to reflect on all the candidates. And by Monday night, I'll have come to my recommendations for Kirk. Now, a Thursday show with Joe Matter. I mean, that guy was an absolute lunatic. I mean, one of the craziest candidates. I mean, Mugsy was batshit crazy. This guy was even more out there and some terrible ideas as well. I mean, when you look at his ideas about doing a live show in a car park, I mean, that's his idea. That's his big idea for KMS. And it was weird. I tried to work out, he seems to me someone who listens to the show but is not particularly engaged with it. So I guess we've all got sort of podcasts that you might put on in the background and not really listen, come in and out of listening to. So you might miss bits and pieces. With KMS, that's not for me. I will listen to every show and I'll probably listen to them multiple times. But if you're a guy like Joe, maybe you put it on in the background, it's 2.5 hours and you come in and out like a radio show. So I think he was a fan because he seemed to know enough that he'd listened to the show, but maybe not particularly closely. But what a lunatic. I mean, a game streamer, and then he's also church streaming on a Sunday. I mean, We don't want him in producing KMS. And so he listened to the show, but then to confuse me with Jon Stewart, I mean, that made me look inward. Am I really looking like Jon Stewart? I mean, I've got glasses now, but it really made me look inward when he confused me with Jon Stewart. And then also not being able to find me on Twitter. I've got two clear, very obvious Twitters, one for KMS and one not for KMS. So it was, as Justin and Kirk pointed out, they're very clear to identify which is which if you look at them. So if you can't find me on Twitter, what sort of producer is he going to be? Like if Kirk says get a guest on, I mean, if you can't find Menners on Twitter, how is he going to find someone's agent or book a guest for the show? So that would be a red flag. And on the Twitter thing, just I guess I want to make this very clear. I'm not ashamed of my KMS fandom. It's a couple of things. Firstly, I started the original Kirk Minahan Show Twitter, which was the Australian Kirk Minahan fan club. So it actually wasn't going to be like a personal Twitter so much, but more sort of the Australian chapter of the Kirk Minahan fan club. But then it kind of evolved into more a Menners Twitter, and was only a year ago or so I changed the handle from @Kirk Club to Menners __ for my KMS one. And I've got my cricket Twitter, and as I said, I'm not ashamed of them. It's just there is basically no crossover between the two audiences. So as Kirk said, it would be really weird for each audience if I'm tweeting furiously about cricket and furiously about KMS. So that's why there's two Twitter accounts. And as well, I guess it's good to have some separation because there's a load of freaks out there. But yeah, Joe Matter, just an absolute waste of time. I mean, he had some interesting critiques where he said Justin wasn't fit enough to keep up with Kirk, and he also said that he'd had experience with these live broadcasts and could help enhance the sound at live shows. So I mean, they're good thoughts, but yeah, I just don't think Joe was a serious candidate. Another candidate who wasn't serious is Mugsy. So Mugsy, again, he put out some tweet, and where is it? I'll bring it up. I'll read it out, but it's basically got time codes for KMS, like it's a scripted show. So here we go. This is Mugsy. Apparently, I'm not worthy of producing. I interviewed to be producer for the Kirk Min show last weekend, but Menners didn't think I made the grade. I wonder what a quality production would look like. And then he's given time codes for the next show where it's sort of broken down into minutes. It's like 2 minutes of this, 2 minutes of that, 2 minutes of this, 2 minutes of that. So it would just not work. It would just not work. Of course, he's just on another planet, Mugsy. I don't even know if he's ever seen KMS, but he certainly didn't answer a question at all. Anyways,
we are back with chapter 81 of the universe according to Mugsy. Today is Wednesday, August 27, 2025. I am Mugsy, the creator, the interdimensional time-traveling philosopher.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
That is here to explain the current events to you. Just to explain how they're a product of the culture, and that your only contribution to
Kirk would be in Wedgmere so quickly if this guy was producing the show. I think Kirk could probably do it even if he just came into studio. Anyway, the guy can talk. I'll give him that. The guy can talk. Mugsy can talk. All right, but one thing's clear to me: Justin needs help. He's waning. His energy levels are flagging. He's got less topics. My good friend Red from Minifandom, that's coming back. Me and Red getting back together. I can tell you that's almost confirmed. Yeah, Red's been piling on to Justin. I mean, what a terrible week. Ran out of topics after a little while. YouTube was down on Tuesday. YouTube was down, and when it was down, Justin said he stayed all day to fix it the next day. On what? So you did your job. Do you want a pat on the back for doing your job? One of his topics was Justin asked Kirk how he bought his movie tickets and then didn't have a follow-up. Justin says he does 40 hours a week to Joe Matter. I just don't think that's true. Probably 30, I mean, the driving to and from work doesn't count as work time, Justin. Yeah, no one believes that. He also clearly didn't want to work on Labor Day. Labor Day. Yeah, I think he'd already made plans. Kirk wanted to come in and do a show for his great fans, but I don't think Justin wanted to. And yeah, Kirk just needs to get some help from him. And I will say, if done properly, which it's not at the moment, it is a two producer job. One producer could maybe do it, like I could do it. I probably got the capabilities to do it, but Justin can't do it by himself. So yeah, I would just say we need to get a producer in there for Kirk ASAP, before Justin burns out. All right, what else from the week? Everyone was very high on Freddie's birdies. I like Freddie's birdies. He's a very easy third chair. I will say that. But I still don't think you want to overuse him because he's very one note, just a cynical asshole. And that's all you're ever going to get from him, and a lot of golf talk. So I would think he's a very, the perfect candidate for every couple of months. What else? On Thursday's show, we had the call by Caitlin O'Hara, who called in and claimed to not know that Steve Robinson was the producer of AMS, and then was promoting his documentary. Also was very complimentary of Kirk's attitudes toward Brianna Chicken Fry. And she certainly made waves in the Minifan community after coming in. The show tweeted out the call because it was so bizarre. And I'm glad Justin actually pulled it up and said to Caitlin, did you know, Justin, did you know Steve was the producer, and just didn't let it go? But yeah, hopefully Caitlin will be on Mena's Live soon. Mick going after Big Pharma. Yeah, I didn't expect that. On the latest Beyond Average Mick show, he went after Big Pharma in his podcast. I think it's funny when Mick tackles these big social issues. He wasn't wrong about Big Pharma. You shouldn't be exploiting people, sick people, and trying to be peddling them medicines. But America's always been built on this kind of this kind of history of selling like tonics and remedies and quick fixes and stuff. So it is very much in the American experience, part of that entrepreneurial capitalist ideal. But yeah, I think it's interesting when Mick turns his attentions to politics or Middle Eastern geopolitics, because I just don't think he quite is smart enough to deal with that stuff. I think, he should stick to just telling people enough and making fun of Clemmer. That's just my opinion. I'd love to I'd actually like to do more stuff with Mick. Maybe that's something I'll look at doing on Mena's Minutes, doing a few more with Mick, because I think him and I would have a good back and forth about this stuff. I do not understand why Kirk was bashing Karen Reed. Again, for some reason, Kirk just always, he's not a misogynist. Let me make this very clear. But I don't know why you would be bashing Karen Reed for going on with Howie Carr. It's just the way the world works. Howie Carr is a much more reputable landing spot for Karen Reed to tell her story. You can say what you want about loyalty, but loyalty means fuck all when it comes to real life. And when it comes to business and being successful, for me, it means a lot. But for a lot of people, it doesn't. And so Karen Reed's going to do what's best for her, not what is best for Turtle Boy. And Howie Carr is just a way more reputable landing spot, has none of the baggage that Turtle Boy has. I like Turtle Boy, and she should have gone on his show. But, for Kirk to be bashing Karen Reed, this is the way it goes. Karen Reed was always going to go a big network or a big landing spot first. And now she should go on Turtle Boy. She should go on his show second or third. But again, I don't think this is Karen Reed doing anything bad. If you're going to pick a spot, someone more reputable than Turtle Boy would be the way to go. Just a couple more things. Kirk talked about his retirement, says he has no ties apart from when he has no ties after Harry leaves school. A lot of speculation about Kirk's personal life. I'm not going to get into it here, but I will say, whatever the situation, even when Harry leaves school, you don't stop being a parent. There's a lot of hours in the day. Kirk is going to get bored. So I think he may change up his work schedule. Maybe it's not KMS as we know it, but I don't think Kirk will ever retire. I can see him doing a show in 20 years. Maybe by then I'll be producing it. Maybe we'll just be two old, very grey men doing a show together. But yeah, I don't think he'll retire. Right. Well, that's it for Mena's Minutes on this Friday, the 29th of August. Just wanted to react to the week, really. A good week. Obviously, the first week without Blind Mike. Really missed him. Really, really missed him. And I think he'll be in next week. And I've lined him up. If he wants to do any reaction shows to the main show, he's going to come on the network. So keep an eye out for that. People like Montante were just asking me in the space, is the network dead? No, the network is not dead. It's just humming along. I think the Minifan community is as vibrant as ever, and the network is part of it. Is it as big a part of it as it was, a year or two ago? Maybe there's elements that have dropped off. There's not quite as much content right at the moment, but that doesn't mean there won't be. And, if Blind Mike comes on a bit more now that he's moved to the country, then that'll only be good for the network, despite certain Minna ladies not liking Blind Mike. But yeah, so yeah, good week, fun week. Started off with the PRC madness and ended with the Joe madness. Two producer candidates, one very strong, one not so strong. But yeah, we'll be back, I think, Monday night. Probably going to be a bit early. I'm going to try and get that started around 6 or 7, and we'll do our recommendations to Kirk, and then we'll be back to react to whoever Kirk picks. I guess I'll just leave you with this. I was looking at that poll that they put up about which producer to hire, and I think 70% wanted Cullinane back. And if Kirk sticks to the way if Kirk sticks to the KMS ethos, then that should be the biggest red flag not to bring Cullinane back. Kirk knows you don't always want to give the fans what they want. And if 70% of the people want Cullinane back, that is almost an indication he would be the last person you should bring back.